Good evening. I'm Trudy Stern, and this is Nothing But the Truth. Today we remember September 11th, a day etched in our nation's soul. 24 years later, we still mourn the thousands who were murdered, and we stand with the families who lost loved ones in that unimaginable tragedy. May they find comfort in knowing that America has not forgotten their pain nor their heroism of those who rushed in to save lives. And tonight, we also grieve a fresh wound. Yesterday, Charlie Kirk was brutally murdered while speaking on a university campus. Charlie was more than a voice in the public square. He represented the best of America. He spoke with courage, gave hope, and inspired an entire generation to believe in the American dream, to work hard, to build strong families, and to live with faith and conviction. His loss is not only personal to his family and friends, but it is a loss for our entire country. Tonight on Nothing But the Truth, we speak with someone who knows all too well the anguish of loss and the demand for justice. Ayelet Samerano, the mother of Yonatan Samerano. Through unimaginable grief, she has become one of the most fearless voices on the global stage. She has confronted the United Nations, challenged world leaders, and spoken out on behalf of the hostages and their families. Today, she joins us to share her story, her fight, and her message for Israel, for the West, and for all who believe in good and truth. Welcome to Nothing But the Truth, Ayelet.
Welcome. Thanks.
So Ayelet, you've had such a horrific journey, but tell us from the beginning. Start on October 7th and tell us Yonatan's story.
First of all, Yonatan was a young businessman. He was very successful and famous in Tel Aviv. On that morning, actually day before, he was very joyous. He was very happy. He jumped, he danced at home. And I told him, Yonatan, you are worrying me. Why you are like this? And he said, I'm so excited to go for a worldwide festival. It was his first time to be in such a festival. And he really wanted to go and see how it is and to take some ideas because he was a young producer.
What was his age?
He was 21 years.
Okay.
And he shared with me the location, and I asked him, is it dangerous to be there because it's next to the border? And he said that it's a huge festival, it's a worldwide one, and there is no way the police or the government will allow to do their festival if it's not security enough. So I was relaxing because he knew what he's telling. And on that morning, I was wake up in 6:29 exactly. It was the siren because the rockets. And I jumped from my bed and I said, oh my God, Yonatan is next to Gaza. There is rockets now. I should call him. And I tried to call him. I didn't succeed. So I called his best friend, Maor. His mother was very panicked all the time. So I said, there is no way Maor didn't answer his mother. So I called her and she said, we just talk to them. They make FaceTime and show us the rockets. And don't worry, they are on their way home. On that moment, actually, I start worrying because I noticed that it was not a regular attack. There was never quantities of rockets like on that morning. And we have been in the shelter more than a half hour. So it was not regular. So I called again and I say, if they will answer you, please tell them not to be on the road. It's very dangerous. And then she told me that a policeman told them to make a U-turn and go and find a shelter somewhere in the kibbutz. So she said, don't worry. And then after a while, she called me and said, they just called, they arrived at the shelter and they are in a shelter. since that time, we didn't succeed to call them. And I thought maybe he's in a shelter and there is no availability. And that situation was 3 days. And during all the day, we were trying to call him, we were trying to call people around to understand which kibbutz he arrived. But there was no connection with the kibbutz people, with no one. I just heard all the time that don't worry, if he told you he's in shelter, he's in a shelter. And there is a possibility that he's 3 days in the shelter because he don't have battery for the cellular or maybe not availability. We were waiting till I saw on Tuesday noon, I saw my brother-in-law going outside the home. It was look for me very strange the way he went with the mobile on his earring. So I went after him and I saw I saw that he met my other brother-in-law that was living in the north of the country. And I saw their conversation and I realized that something happened. I came and tried to ask what happened. They didn't want to show me the video they had in their mobile, but his face was talking. He was like telling me like this. And I asked what? Tell me. And he say, Yonatan is not alive. And I say, no way, I want to see it. What happened? And then they explained me that actually they were not in a shelter. They arrived at the gate of the kibbutz. And there were terrorists in the bushes. They came outside, they shot the car. The car go by itself to the kibbutz. After a while, they were robbers that came and stole whatever they could, include the car. They threw them on the ground and they stole the car. And after a while, they saw a white vehicle, Jeep, with 2 people, and they took Yonatan, only Yonatan, and left the other 2. So for me, it was like a sign that he's alive because I asked why they kidnapped just him. There is another 2 around him. And we were waiting, and after 3 days, the government confirmed that Yonatan was kidnapped.
During those 3 days, did you have contact with the government?
There was a huge chaos. We could not be in contact with anyone. If we had connections with people, so, we're trying to arrive someone, all the information was very not confirmed. Every time they told us, if he's kidnapped, we will get a notice, formal one, just wait, because there was a lot of chaos. Because Maor and Bneiyahu, the friends of Yonatan, was getting a phone call to come and recognize their bodies. So I was waiting.
Wait, Matt. So Yonatan's friends' parents. Yonatan was in the car with 2 other friends.
Yes.
And those 2 friends' parents got calls to come in and identify their bodies, right?
So I was waiting to get this phone call or either another phone call. And it's very ironic, but I was praying those days to get a message that my son is kidnapped because it was the less awful things on those days.
So from that moment on, what did you do? You found out that he was kidnapped. What did you do?
I try my journey to bring him back home with the other families. And I was traveling all over the world and trying to talk people and human rights organization like the Red Cross, etc., and talk to them that my son was shot, he's very injured, and he should be at home to get treatment.
What did the Red Cross tell you?
They said, we're sorry, we can do nothing. those people are monsters, but we can't do nothing. I even met one lady once when I was waiting to meet Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. I saw two people going inside, and I heard the security saying that they are the representative of Red Cross. So I ran to them and I say, please help me. This is my son. Please help me. Tell me that you can go to him and help him. And she looked at me and she said, you know, I can understand you, but they are monsters. We cannot go there. They are not allow us to go there.
And that was it. They had no other answer for you.
No, at all.
How did you connect with the other hostage families? I know that you were a very strong group. How did that work?
The first Friday after it was less than 1 week after October 7, there was a huge meeting. They called, they published everywhere that if you have a missing someone from your family is missing, please come to meet us in Friday morning. So we went to there, my sister and me, to this meeting. There was more, believe me, more than 1,000 people there. All of them were in chaos, was looking for their children, parents, sisters, brother. Everybody was in deep shock. A lot of people, ex-commanders in the army, ex-politicians, all the people that could help came to there. And we make a negotiation and try to figure out how we are going to handle it. And since that day, the family forum was built, and we start doing a lot of things. And you know, it was like it's created from nothing. So if I have an idea, everybody was coming with me. If someone else had an idea, we were going with him, and we start, you know, doing things together. And a lot of organizations joined us, and a lot of people contribute money. And from time to time, we had this place to help us.
It's incredible that you bonded together so quickly and you were able to really create something that was so valuable to the world in terms of advocating for your children and your loved ones. So what was the end result of the story? So you actually had some end result after all of the time advocating and, you know, waiting for your son. What happened? What was his story?
Okay, before the end, after 100 days, a reporter from Washington Post called me and she said, can I interview her? And I say yes. And she started interviewing me, and then suddenly she asked me, what is your opinion about the fact that UN kidnapped your son? And I said, what are you talking about? And she said, you don't know that UN employee kidnapped your son? I was in shock. I told her that we are finishing now the conversation. I called the army and I asked answers. And then they told me that they just found out that a social worker of UNRWA was the one that kidnapped my son. So I start my, side by side. When I'm fighting to bring my son back, I was fighting against UNRWA, because then I discovered that this organization getting million or more of dollars from all over the world under the umbrella of humanitarian aid, but actually they dealing with terror. And there is no way an organization that's should be an organization that's supposed to do good doing terror. So I start fighting them, and we close UNRWA in Israel, and I'm still fighting them all over the world, because I think countries should understand they should not pay money for those organizations that are not dealing with humanitarian, but dealing with terror.
Well, wait a minute. So it turns out that the white van that drove up to the vehicle that Yonatan was in was an UNRWA worker who then stole his body, put him in his van, drove him back to Gaza, and had him kidnapped for all the time, right?
Yeah.
And how did you know that? How did you know that he was an UNRWA worker?
First of all, on that Saturday, when Yonatan was not answering us, we took his Apple ID and we tried to find his mobile. And we find that his mobile is in a specific address inside Gaza in the neighbor Nusrat. And we saw the house, we saw everything. And on that time, the army was not in Gaza, so we couldn't do nothing. We just find the phone. We thought maybe someone stole it. But after Washington Post published the picture of this man that's working in UNRWA as a social worker, it was the same name of this person that kidnapped my son. Same picture, it was the same man, and same home address. His home address was the same address like the Apple ID show us on that morning. And we know for sure that he was kidnapped, Yonatan. And we just didn't know what he did with Yonatan. Did he bring them to Hamas and get money? We didn't know what does he do. But it's not important at all because he was the one that kidnapped him. And I make few steps. And one time I make a surprise to Lazzarini in Lausanne. And I didn't let him speech. I was shouting, UNRWA kidnapped my son, UNRWA kidnapped my son. I showed the picture of the kidnapped action. And after 2 days, because it's published for more than 10 million followers, there was no choice to the United Nations, and they admit that UNRWA kidnapped my son because there was no choice for them. Everything was so close and with proof.
Did they ever talk to you directly about that?
No, never. I was going for a lot of meetings with Guterres, with all the other families, hostages, but not myself, like a regular meeting, like he want to help us, but he never came and say, listen, get my apologies, listen, what can I do for you? And I was talking with him a few times. I said, it's no matter if it's jihad or Hamas. The employee under UN umbrella kidnapped my son. You are responsible for it. I'm a big manager in my company where I work. If someone under my responsibility doing something wrong, it's my responsibility. You know, when something happened in a country, we are saying that the prime minister or the president should take care and should take responsible for the case.
Right.
So there is no chance Hag will say Benjamin Netanyahu doing like this, and they will not say that's UN or UNRWA doing like this and like this. Where is the, we are talking about human rights. An UNRWA social worker and a person that should deal with human rights, kidnapping and a body or a injured person and not helping him. This is not human rights.
So no, this is not human rights at all. So Yonatan has a brother, Yair, and tell me about Yair's involvement and what happened in terms of finding Yonatan.
Yair is serving the army. He went to the army after Yonatan was kidnapped. He could choose not to go, but he said, there is no way I will not go. I want to go.
Can you explain for my listeners, why was he able to not go if he wanted to not go?
All the hostages family got a special permission not to send their children to the army because the situation, because they understood we have a huge chaos now, and maybe there is a panic for the parents or for the brother and sister by themselves. They have a brother or sister in a captivity. It's not a regular situation. But I can tell you that all the brother and sister of hostages went to the army and they want to be involved. And he wanted to go to a special unit, and he went to a special unit, and he had a very significant mission, and he's dealing with hostages, a lot of things, but with hostages too. And I cannot tell all the details, but somewhere around he was handling the case of Yonatan. He didn't know he's handling the case of Yonatan. And he realized it just after Yonatan was back. He realized that the mission he was working for it was his brother one. And
so how did you find out that Yonatan was rescued?
Actually, in the last 2 weeks before I came, I was very hard feeling that Yonatan is coming back. We celebrate his birthday, and I said I should find what is his Hebrew date. I have a strong feeling he's going to come back in his Hebrew date. And I was talking about it everywhere, that I have a feeling and I know he will back. And I was invited to a delegation in London, and I said, okay, I will come to the delegation, but I'm coming back in Saturday because my son is coming back. She said, what the hell, what she's talking about? And she told me, there is a synagogue with a special place they kept for Yonatan. They adapt him. And I say, you are not kidding me? And she said, no. And the rabbi from the Bet Knesset was calling me, and she said, come to the synagogue, stay with us this Saturday. We will make all this weekend to mention his birthday. So I agreed. But then the Iranian start the war with us, and the airspace was closed, so we could not fly. And 2 days before the weekend, I got a phone call from someone from the Golan Heights, and they say, you suffered from the rockets, you are a hostage family, come and rest in our village. And I said, I will thinking about it. And then I went with another 2 mothers, hostages mothers, and we went all the families to this place in the Golan. When I arrived there, while I'm going up to this village, I just realized that I was in the same place with my son Yonatan before he went to the army. He made the Golan Road. And I make him a surprise 2 days before he finished the Golan Road. I came, I closed him a room to take a shower.
Wait, for those who do not know what the Golan Road is, just explain what the Golan Road is.
Okay. There is a road that's called Israeli Road. It's all the way from the first point of Israel in the north, and it's ending in Eilat, the end point of Israel. And young people doing this road for a few days or weeks by themselves, like a trek, and they walking from one place to the other.
So it's very customary to do that walk from Eilat all the way from the south all the way to the north. So
Yes.
Before Yonatan went to the army, you joined him on this trek that he did for the last part of it in the Golan?
Yeah. There is the Israeli road and there is parts, Golan and the other parts of the road. So Yonatan chose to start the Golan road, and he make it for 1 week.
Okay.
Each day he was arriving in another place and sleeping in the outside, not. And I closed him a room for the 2 last night, and they came in Wednesday. I was making him surprise. I took him to a restaurant and I told him, listen, Yonatan, tomorrow is the last part of this road and I'm going to do it with you. And he say, you sure, Mom? It's not easy. And I say, of course, I'm doing it with you. So we wake up in the morning and we make the last part of this road together. Actually, I've been with Yonatan all over a lot of places in the world. In Israel, we have a lot of vacations, but this was the most significant day with my son since he born. It was me, him, and God, no one else. And I remember it so good, so well. And when I arrived this village, I said, oh my God, I was here when we make the last part of his road, and the last part of his road was scaring me because I said, wow, I'm coming here in his Hebrew birthday, the same place we make the last part of his road. So please, God, may it will be the last part of his road and he will come back alive. And I took the road as the captivity, not as
So you did not know that when you were going, you didn't know that it was going to be the same place
no.
that you were with Yonatan the day before.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because they sent me location of the vacation place. I didn't notice the name of the city, and I just make it in ways and went. And then I realized, I said, wait a minute, Givat Yoav is the place I was there with Yonatan. And then I realized that this is the place. When I was there, I went to the reception and I asked to talk with the local synagogue in this village. And she gave me the rabbi and I told him, listen, my son is in captivity. His birthday is tomorrow and I really want to do a special thing for his birthday. And he said, of course, we will make all the Shabbat around him. And I say, you know what? I'm going to keep Shabbat for the first time in my life.
Wow.
I kept Shabbat and I was in synagogue. We took the Bible outside, we pray. The people after that make Kiddush. And it was Shabbat Mevarchim with a special, and they asked me to tell stories about Yonatan, and I told them a lot of stories about Yonatan. And they all were very exciting, and they told me he's going to come back, and you will come with him to here to make the Thanksgiving party. And I went back and I told the other hostage's mother, listen, you're going to stay with me till the end of Shabbat. I don't want to drive because I'm keeping Shabbat. And we will back home after Shabbat. And that's what we have done. And I arrived home. And I look outside before I went to sleep and I say, how come the army didn't call me yet? I know Yonatan is here. And I was discussing in my hand and I said, but Ayelet, are you sure you want to get to Yonatan no matter what? And I said, stop thinking about negative things, think positive, it will come alive. And then I asked myself again and again, and I forced myself to answer. And then I say, yes, I agree. And then I was so scared. I felt something very emotional inside my stomach. And I say, how did I say it? How did I say it? And I say, okay, let's be calm, go to sleep. And we wake up in the morning with a sirena of rockets, because there are Iran sent rockets. We went to the shelter. There was a huge boom. And after we go out from the shelter, I opened the TV to see where it's felt. And I got a phone call from the commander that was accompanying us during all this period. And she said, are you home? And I say, yes. And where is he here? I said, he's here. He's going to the army right now. And she said, no, tell him to stay. We are in our way home. Usually, I was not let her.
Usually, I'm sorry, usually you were not.
I was not let her stop talking with me. I was telling her all the time, no, explain me. And I was in panic. But on that day, I said, okay, come. And she was in shock. She said, how come? You are always asking me a lot of questions. And I told her, I knew, I felt. And when I hang up the phone call, Yair asked me, Mom, what's going on? And I say, Batya and Avi is in the way to our home. And they said, Yonatan is home. And I say, you guess or you know? And they say, I know. I'm just realizing that my mission was accomplished. I just got a notice that my mission was accomplished. And I understand that Yonatan is here. He just make the connection. And Yonatan was back. And when they arrived, I asked them, when did you rescue him? Yesterday or today? And they say yesterday. And during all this period, I have a lot of signs. One of the most popular sign was the number 222. Wherever I went, I saw 222. And I have a lot of stories with this number. Yonatan was rescued when it was 22 of June. 22, and June, it's 6. 6, it's 222. And I asked her, which time does Yonatan was rescued? It was 2 o'clock in the night. 22, 2 o'clock. And he was rescued in his Hebrew birthday, in the same date of his Hebrew birthday.
Wow, that is incredible.
And day before, I wrote a post that Yonatan's birthday is tomorrow. It's Kaf Hei Besivan. And one man saw it and sent me a sentence that the Lubavitch rabbi said that when Kaf Hei Besivan is happening in Saturday, there is a lot of huge miracle that's happened.
Wow, so that was on Shabbat.
I make a story with it. And I say, the Lubavitch rabbi said this, tomorrow is Yonatan's birthday and we will have a miracle. I posted in Instagram.
That is incredible, totally incredible.
And I went out after she called to open the gate. And then I saw that part of the rockets that Iran sent was felt in front of my door. It's broken the stairs. And
wow.
I said, oh my God, Yonatan knocked our door. Yonatan said, Mom, I'm here. There's a lot of huge stories that's, I'm telling during my journey, because I saw a lot of signs and I have a lot of great stories. And on that Shiva, there was a person that asked me, Ayelet, now when you know that Yonatan is not alive, and we can play like a game, if you can choose, I'm taking you back to October 7. Yonatan, Maor, and Bneiyahu on the ground. What are you choose? That they are kidnapped him and you're doing this journey, or they are living there and you're getting him after 2 days and buried him? I didn't have any doubt. I said, journey. And he say, how come? And I say, I had a journey of almost 2 years, a special journey. This journey actually was the mission of my son. My son know me very well. If I was getting my son after 2 days and buried him, I'm not sure I was here today. I'm not sure I was living at all. I was alive. I'm not sure I was alive. And I know Yonatan chose for me this journey. And he chose for me to fight UNRWA. And he chose for me to make explanation in the world. And he chose for me to tell his wonderful stories. And he chose for me to make as much as I can to make all the Jewish all over the world and in our country to be together, because our force is in our hand. We are a small country, small religion, not a lot of people in the world. But if we will be together, no one can beat us, no one. And I have a mission. And then I realized that I must keep doing this journey, the journey of my son. And since he came back, I'm doing it. I'm going all over. I'm talking about Yonatan. I'm talking about a lot of other things. I'm telling his wonderful story. And the most important thing is that after 2 or 3 weeks, I promise God that if Yonatan will back, my mission in my life will be to do good, to make people smile all the time. So when I'm doing my speeches, I'm starting with the sad story, then I'm passing to the funny and joining. I like to see the people not crying, laughing. I can see they shine, their eyes open, they are laughing when I'm talking about Yonatan. And for me, it's the best, because if I'm coming and I'm telling about Yonatan's story, they start crying, but right after I'm giving them a lot of joy. And I was 10 days ago in the West Coast, and there was a lot of people that came to me and told me, you make us crying, but right after we start laughing, and we went out strong, not weak. So
you're such an inspiration. Really such an inspiration.
My wish is to do just good and to see people laugh and shining, not sad.
So what is your message to the world about the hostages that are still left in Gaza?
My message to the world and to the diplomats and politicians all over the world, I'm always saying it. People, diplomats, leaders that's saying that October 7 was part of the conflict between Israel and Palestinians, they are lying themselves. They are doing like this. They covering their eyes. It was not, and it is not, the conflict between Palestinian and Israeli. It is a terror attack, and is a terror attack not just against Jewish. It's a terror attack against all the modern world. They want Islamic fanatic world, and everybody should wake up all over the world. And if they will take it to the place that it is the conflict between Israel and Palestinian, they should not surprise it will knock their door. And this will knock their door because terror can be everywhere in the world. And after they will finish with us, they will start with the Christian, and it will start even with Muslims that are not fanatics. So please, everyone that's hear it should understand that there is no place in terror for terror attack. It's no matter what are you, Jewish, Christian, Muslim. Terror should not be part of our world. That's my message.
So that is a message that is incredible. It is incredible that you've shared your story and that you're taking such a horrible and unimaginable experience and turning it into something for good. I think Yonatan for sure is so proud and is smiling down on his mom and the strength that you've garnered in order to take this awful experience and turn it into something so important and positive. Your message is something that our listeners have heard throughout the year on this program, that this is a war between good and evil, and that this is not simply isolated to Israel, although I think that Iran at this moment would like everyone to think that, and a lot of people have joined Iran in that ridiculous notion that this is a war against Israel or only the Jewish people. This is a war against the West, and you are so correct. And I think that message is so incredible and taken so incredibly strong from you, who really have so much to tell and so much to share with regard to this unbelievably awful experience. I want to thank you so much. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining me today and for sharing your story with all of us with honesty and with courage. What you've gone through as a mother is something no one should ever have to go through. And yet you've taken all of that pain and turned it into something good, and you've turned it into truth and justice. To our listeners, I hope that this conversation reminds you that October 7th was not just about Israel. It's about the war between good and evil, and it's still going on. It's about the values that we all hold dear, America and across the free world. Ayelet, we stand with you, and we will keep feeling this story and telling this story until every hostage is home and the world finally understands what we are up against. To all of you listening, thank you for being here. This has been Nothing But the Truth with Trudy. You can catch us every Thursday evening on the radio at 9:30 p.m. And if you missed any part of this show or want to revisit any past episodes, you can find Nothing But the Truth wherever you hear your podcasts. Until next time, stay strong, stay informed, and keep seeking nothing but the truth.